Joy, thank you so much for joining DeKoder Conversations. I must tell you that I'm a hardcore KKR fan since the league started, and just genuinely, really excited to have you. You are honestly one of my dream guests on the show. I have thousands of questions. I don't even know where to start, but I'm going to try and make sense of it all, and I'm going to try and be a little cohesive. But I must say this. Every time there is an international match or after the IPL, I have the best morning drives from work to office because that's the time I switch on cricket. And if it's the three of you, Harsha, you and Gaurav, that's the best content that I watch. So thank you so much for making my drive so entertaining. And I love all of them. I love Zach. I love Michael won all of them, but I think there's something that the three of you have, which just makes it very interesting. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, and I'll convey it to all of them, especially Gaurav and Harsha. They'll enjoy that.
Please, that'll be great. Uh, I want to just go back to maybe 2008, Joy, when you started with KKR. If at that time somebody would have come to you and said that, hey, ye to kuch nahi hai, 15, 20 years down the line, you will see 14-year-old, 15-year-olds playing in the IPL, scoring at 250, scoring centuries for fun, 97, 96 for fun, taking on the best bowlers in the world for first ball sixes and scoring at 250 strike rate. What would you have said to that person?
Oh, it's just been an absolutely unbelievable journey. And the crazy part about this tournament is it gets more and more unbelievable every year. Every year, when you think you've seen, amazing talent come through, there's somebody else who comes and, wows you even more. And every time you turn around and, you know, it's so funny. When I see that, I feel a profound sense of satisfaction. And I feel a profound sense of sadness as well because I know there's just as much talent in all other Indian sport, and this is the only place where this talent is being allowed to grow. And that for me is just makes me feel so bad. So it's both. It's a bittersweet feeling for me because I so enjoy it, and I so feel for the so many other people playing other sports from this sport.
Right. I just did yesterday. I did a story on Saqib Hussain, and the more you read about him, you just understand where he comes from and to what stage he's achieved, and all of that would not have been possible without a platform like IPL. So I understand what you're saying that if all other sports gave this kind of platform, it would have been something else. Just
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I'll give you a great example of Dinda. This is 2008 and when the IPL started. And Ashok Dinda at that point in time is in and out of the Bengal team, not a regular, definitely not playing in 2008. And he's just a bowler for Kalighat. And KKR's camp has started and we need net bowlers. And so this guy rocks up, and Ashok, John Buchanan, and Matthew Mott have a good look at him and said, he might be worth looking at. So 3 4 days he bowls and he really impresses them. He gets into the squad. From that squad, he makes it into the 11. He bowls the first ever ball bowled by KKR in the IPL, and 4 years
wow.
later, he plays for India. Now the point of it is, had there not been an alternative path like the IPL, where the great advantage of say a Dinda or even a Shakib today is, if the Bihar selectors don't like Sakib, it does not matter. He will go to a RCB camp or he'll go to a KKR camp or he'll go to an SRH camp. Somebody will see him, say he has talent, pick him up. And once he does there, then the pressure is on the Bihar selectors because then they turn around and they have a situation where these guys are saying this guy is good enough to bowl to all the top bowlers batters in the world and he's not good enough to play for Bihar. So that is what the IPL's greatest strength has been, the fact that it gave everybody an alternative chance where merit was the only necessity. Because see, when you come, all these spotters who are there for IPL camps, okay, they're all get their bonuses, they get their jobs, they retain their reputations on the kind of players they deliver to your camp. So it's a total meritocracy out there, and I think that is the strength of what the IPL in Indian sport is about. And it
Right.
starts with people like Dinda.
No, that's absolutely amazing. And I was doing my research on the IPL, and When IPL started, the entire business value of the IPL was close to around $700 million. That's including the business that it would make in the first year, right? Coming when I see it today, the league business it's itself valued at $20 billion. You have the brand valued at around $4 billion. Each of the IPL teams are valued at close to $2 billion. That makes it around 44, 45, nearly $50 billion, right? Now I don't want to ask like what made it happen, but I think the deeper question is, can you can you think of three or four moments in the IPL, in the IPL's journey, that became culturally so significant that it made IPL what it is today?
So let me start from before that. Okay, so before I come to the IPL, to the moments that made it significant, I think the most significant moment is uh, the Indian Cricket League has started, the ICL has started, where all the teams are owned by Z, and it's just started. And Lalit Modi goes and asks the BCCI, and he's just made a lot of money for the BCCI selling the rights of Indian cricket. And he says, "Can you give me 200 crores to play with? Because I think we need to have a league as well." And they give it to him. And he never uses the money. He goes around the world meeting cricketers, meeting sports people, meeting everybody, meeting top people from IMG everywhere, and saying that, can this be done? And meeting Indian advertisers. And Indian advertisers just tell him one thing: you want to play a match at night. This is 2008. There's one TV at home. The woman of the house is watching. What? You cannot have it. It will never work. Cricket will never work. So the first moment of the IPL is he says, no. If that is the
Wow.
case, he is a genius. He's many things, but he's also a genius. And he says, I have to, women and children have to watch me. So what does he do? He makes it at night. He gets cheerleaders. He gets, I mean, colored clothing is already there. He says there has to be so much pizzazz, fun in it that everyone in the family has to watch. Actually, cricket, this is the first time, if you see the IPL figures versus even international cricket figures, the first time women and children significantly watch cricket is the IPL.
Right,
And so
right.
that's the
Absolutely.
first moment that he reaches. So that's moment number one, where he reaches there and he says, this, if it's got to be at night in a one TV household, it has to be for women and children as well. So that's one. And then after that, he does some amazing things, because remember, this is the BCCI. What is the biggest problem with the BCCI? The BCCI acts like a board. They're cricket officials, think in cricket terms, but he knows he needs to make it a world class product, so he gets IMG involved. And you will not believe it, the entire first thought of what the IPL is done by Lalit Modi and Andrew Wildblood while the Wimbledon finals are going on in 2007. They're sitting together and they're sketching out what can be done on a napkin, literally writing out the future of the league. So it is absolutely fascinating what all happened behind that. So I won't go any further into that. The next I say is that when that first day starts, and he's a guest for me in the studio so often. So Zach is bowling, and Zach bowls an absolute beauty to Brendon McCullum. And McCullum runs at him, top edges it, and it goes straight up there. And Zach is looking and saying, "Okay, first wicket down," and the ball sails over third man's head for a six. And that moment onwards,
Yeah.
and so smile in McCullum's face where he realizes that this is a pitch and an altitude which could suit him.
I'm getting goosebumps right now just thinking of that moment again.
That that assault by McCullum, that 158 by McCullum, changed the course of it. I mean, you could not have it better. Here's Lalit Modi. The Washington Redskins cheerleaders have performed. Shankar Ehsan Loy has performed. Uh, these guys, all the fireworks are over. These guys have come on, and then McCullum goes there. Shahrukh cheering in the stands. Malyar on the other side. Everything that he had hoped for. If that first morning had been a damp squib, the story of the IPL could have been very different. But that first upside that he hit, so everyone who's invested in the IPL was a perpetual debt of gratitude to Brendan McCullum, because he really, really, really
I
changed
would
the way
agree.
the IPL was done.
I do remember, I think in 2009 or 2010, one of the seasons, they had also introduced, if I'm not wrong, the heart rate of the player to be put on the big
Yeah, I
screen.
think I've been trying to remember when they did a heart rate monitor. They wouldn't have done it on the players; they would have done it on the coach and the coaching staff, which is bad enough because uh, you know, they just go through the roof. And the ability to control that also, I mean, if you are looking at teams, it will be a terrific gift for other teams. So I think that's why it was stopped. But those are the
Yeah,
kind of things that, yeah, it tells you exactly how intense the entire experience is.
yeah, yeah. I agree. The where the game had started to where it is now, right? So I remember 2010, 2011, even 145, 150 was a decently defendable score. I mean, KKR had mastered the art of restricting the opposition to 145, 160 under Gauti's time, and the game was solid. Today, obviously, everybody knows that we've moved beyond the 200 as the norm. I think I was watching one of the statistics yesterday on CricBuzz itself that I think 40 or 50% of the matches are nearly 30 to 40% of the matches are nearly hitting the 200 and up. I think before the season started, people were placing bets on whether the 300 wall will be breached, right? So no score is a safe score. That's where in 20 years we've reached from 145, 160 being a defendable score to a 250, 260. You still don't know. What I'm trying to understand is not just from a runs perspective, but let's say 15 years down the line, that this is the evolution that we've seen so far. Where do you envision the next 15 years um, is going to? What's it going to look like?
See, I think they will make sure that, see, I think there's some things that right now really favor batters.
Yeah,
One is a huge favor, a huge difference is made by the impact sub. And why? Because it means that you have one more extra batter. See, all of batting is about the ability to take risks. If I know I have one more batter who can come into bat, my ability to take risks has increased by that much. And that's a significant difference. So, look, I think actually you are going to see slightly faster pitches. I don't see this, this curve going any further. Because what happens is between batters and bowlers, it's an arms race. The batters get ahead, the bowlers discover new balls, the batters know how to counter it. Right now, the batters are too far ahead, and they have to make something of it. They have to correct it a little bit. And I'm not saying that the scores will necessarily go down very much, but I don't see them going very much beyond this either, because you're already hitting at strike rates of 12 to 13 and over in the big matches. So
right.
I I don't see it going much further. I see the bowlers catching up. I really don't see a long term future for the impact sub. Those are the two
Yeah,
things that I think will not stay for
right.
long.
Because that's what I was thinking. If I'm a fast bowler, I'm a young bowler today, I'm gonna, wouldn't I think that, all the rules that have come in, whether it's the impact player, or I wouldn't say the rules, but even for the fact that the boundaries have become shorter, the pitches have become flat, the bats have become stronger, and I'm not discounting the skill of the batsman has also increased, but it looks like so many things are working in favor of the batsman. So if I'm a bowler, I'm thinking, if I'm a young bowler, I'm gonna be like, hey, should I even persist a career in bowling, or should I try and be an all-rounder of sorts, or should I try being a batsman itself? Like, wouldn't
You're
that
right.
be?
I mean, that's one way of looking at it. The other way to look at it is saying that today, if I'm a bowler, even if I can give nine and over, I'm actually doing really well. So
Right,
the hard thing about it is, if bowling becomes more and more difficult, good bowlers become more and more priceless. So I mean, the likes therefore of Bhuvi, or the likes of Jofra Archer, or the likes of even Bumrah, though he's having an off season this year, is going to be even more. So I think there's always value. It all depends on which side you see the economics. So right now, for me, the economics is that bowlers, top level bowlers who can consistently deliver, are priceless. So look, that is one of the things that does happen. That when you have the economics of it, when all bowlers go, the few bowlers who don't go become even more valuable to their teams. You know? So look, I'm not happy about. I'd rather see boundaries out. I'd rather see the impacts up go. But I still think there's a huge value in being a good bowler right now. There's huge value.
I would say that around 20, like, till 2015, 2016, if you had an economy rate of maybe 6 or 7, which Sunil Narine consistently did, you were considered an exceptional bowler, right? I think now maybe that margin has shifted to an
Yeah, that,
8.
that
I would.
doesn't get shifted, yeah. Except Sunil Narine is a dinosaur. He still pulls.
Right.
He still bowls at economy rate is unbelievable, around 7. But he's something else. But yeah, I think those have changed. Those boundaries have shifted. Definitely, those boundaries have shifted. And I mean, the impact sub is one part, bats as a sub. But I'll tell you, the most important part of it is the truth is that the biggest difference that's happening is not just because the bowlers and the pitches. It is because the batters are prepared to take a certain amount of risks. So teams with the batters are prepared to take those risks are doing well. Teams which are burdened down where the batters thinking, I don't want to take a risk, I don't want to get out fast, are suffering. That's basically what's happening.
I do want to dive a little deeper into Sunil Narine, right? Again, because huge KKR fan. You've spent so many years in KKR. All the while all the rules it seems like are favoring the batsman. This man just comes and he says, no matter what the rules are, I'm still going to bowl. Um, I'm still not going to go for 40 runs in 4 overs ever. I will still bowl under 8. I will still keep taking 1 or 2 wickets every match. I will still keep you under pressure so that wickets can fall from the other side. And if you want, I can still come and open the match as well. Like, he is by far the GOAT, if you ask me. What makes him so special? And you've been around him.
Look, Sunil Narine is, I remember when we first saw Sunil Narine, and actually it was during the Champions. We were playing a Champions League in Bombay, a Champions League match in Bangalore. This is in 2011. And he had come for the Trinidad and Tobago side, who were the champions, who were the West Indies T20 champions. In those days, the CPL hadn't started. And they were not playing against us, so they played a practice match against us on another pitch. No, I think it was Hyderabad. It was not Bangalore, it was Hyderabad. So we played against them on another pitch in Hyderabad, and Gautam Gambhir and the likes went out to bat. And Gautam, I remember in those days, he had the proper mohawk. He doesn't have that anymore, but he had that proper mohawk. And Gotham couldn't pick him. So when 2012 auction came, Gotham just said we have to get Sunil Narine, and that's exactly what we did. The truth is, Sunil Narine is there are two things. Firstly, he's a cold-blooded assassin in the sense that it doesn't matter if you hit him for 3 sixes. It does not. He will not give you anything. And the second thing is that the biggest advantage that Sunil Narine has is the lack of tells. So tells in a bowler is how do you tell what kind of a delivery he's going to give. So some guys, it's the way they show the ball, it's the way they move. When they're bowling a Yorker, they move in a particular way. When they're moving, they're going to bowl the other Dusra, they move in a particular way. Sunil has almost no tails. So it is very difficult for a batter to look at him coming in and see what he's going to do. And both balls, the ball that goes away, the ball that comes in, he bowls with the same action at the same point in the crease. He doesn't go wider for one, he doesn't go closer for one. So the problem with the batter is he just has nothing to read. He's got to play on instinct and hope that one is turning in or one is turning out. So he's never knowing what's happening. And if you think it's tough for the batters, the nightmare used to be for the keepers because they had to keep to him.
That's true. Yeah.
One of the most difficult jobs in the world was keeping to Sunil Narine because he was very. It was almost impossible to pick where the ball was. Except the only advantage the keepers had, they had about 7-8 feet more than the batter to try and make their distance. That's all.
How,
But
how how would you keep against him? Like, if you are a wicketkeeper, how would you
no,
plan?
so you don't you're a keeper. You don't plan. You keep to him as much in the nets as possible and hope that you've got a sense of. But that's it. It's very difficult to keep to him. You just have a little bit of that extra time that the batter doesn't have, so that's your advantage. And so he's a assassin. He has no tells, and he's one of the most mentally strong players you'll come. So if he's such a strong player mentally that he being hit, he not getting wickets, none of that seemingly makes a difference to him. It does. He thinks about it. He works on it, but none of it. You will not see it on his face. He's got smashed for 20 and over, and he just looked at the batter and walked away.
Yeah.
He just cannot. So the point is, there's no sense of satisfaction that the batter gets, because even a batter looks for an emotional rise out of seeing the reaction of the bowler. Like he's angry, or he's upset, or he's something. This guy gives you nothing. So that those are the advantages, and there are very few players with his kind of temperament, because there are other players who might try and hide their emotions, but you can make out. You can see the faces and you can make. Sunil, you can't.
And I do want to talk a little bit about the bowlers here, right? Like we've seen so many magicians at play. Sunil Narine being probably at the top for me. You've seen Ravichandran Ashwin playing, always trying to improvise on his game. Whether it was the carom ball, the start and stop motion, monketing, if you want to go there, which I completely agree with. But at the same time, you've seen Bhuvaneshwar Kumar playing consistently. Look at the season he's had this year. Do you feel, and yet when you go out, and this is maybe a little philosophical question, but when you hear kids that, hey, I want to become the next Virat Kohli, and rightly so, and I want to become the next Rohit Sharma, rightly so, why do we not hear a lot of kids saying that, hey, I want to be the next Bhuvaneshwar Kumar or Rohit or Ravichandra Ashwin or Sunil Narine?
Maybe they're there because we are still producing. My big worry is that we are not producing enough spinners. We are still producing fast bowlers. Because see, the point is the biomechanics of the game has increased phenomenally. And in fact, Bhuvi is a very interesting story because Bhuvi comes from Meerut. And all bowlers, it's a very interesting thing. RP Singh, who comes from the Lucknow side of UP, told me a lovely story. And RP comes from the Sports College Lucknow. So basically, UP has two big gharanas of cricket, the Meerut Gharana and the Lucknow Gharana of cricket. And it's very interesting that the Meerut Gharana of cricket, most of the big cricket ball manufacturers and equipment manufacturers are in and around Meerut. SG, SS, these guys are there. So the thing about the Meerut Gharana is that the guys who come from Meerut, which is Bhuvi, Praveen Kumar, even somebody like Shami who's in Muradabad, which is not very far away, they have really good abilities with the new ball because new balls were available in that part of the world because they used to have a lot of access to new balls. So they bowl a lot of balls. The Merit Gharana bowls the new ball very well. Bhuvi, he's a magician with the new ball. And the guys who from Lucknow, they did not get that much access to new balls. So if you see RP and all, their abilities to use the old ball, reverse, old ball, they are very good at that. And RP was an expert at that. So very interesting of how even the geography of where equipment manufacturers are make a difference. But Bhuvi comes from, as I said, the culture of, he's very pure action. Again, he was in the NCA. In fact, I first heard from him from somebody who became the coach of KKR later, Dab Watmore. Dab Watmore used to get to the National Cricket Academy, and he said that this kid Bhuvi, in fact, the thing he said was very interesting. Where he said Bhuvi is an all-rounder, and I think in some stage, Bhuvi has not really done justice to his batting the way he could have,
Right.
because he's quite talented with the bat as well.
Yeah, even in this season, I think he hit a last ball for four under
He
extreme
did
pressure.
a 6 over cover to win a big match.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was insane. Um, Given considering, let's say that the impact rule continues, which we don't know if it will or not. I was thinking, what is one rule change that you can bring in which maybe could support the bowlers? Um, Anything, I have mine, but I will not say it because I may sound stupid. So first, I will ask you, and then maybe you can grade mine.
I mean, look, there are many. There are many I'd do for the bowlers. I mean, the truth of it is, the easiest one is just bring the boundaries out. Make sure that minimum for the boundary is 65 to 70. I mean, anything below that shouldn't be on a boundary. I mean, and you can regulate that. You can have larger boundaries. There is space in most of the grounds to have a boundary, and if there isn't space, you shouldn't be playing in a place like that. So my point is, I'd take the boundaries out at least 5 yards out. Definitely. I mean, that's the one thing that I do easily for any of the bowlers.
Hmm, hmm.
You go now.
Interesting. Yeah. I Okay, so here's what I was thinking, and maybe will sound stupid. But so what I was thinking, if the power play is where it's the match is getting decided, right? Like pretty much this season as well, 79% of the matches, whoever won the power play won the match. And I think that will make the rest next 14 overs slightly maybe boring. I don't know. Um, if we get do away with the three power plays, if we only keep one, which is the 6 overs, but it's not the first 6 overs, it's the bowling team deciding that any 6 overs and within the first 15 overs. Do you think that has uh, any merit to it?
No, no, I think you can definitely do that. It will make a difference. The Because the way batters play is that they play to take advantage of the field being set inside. It will make a difference. It'll be interesting though of how it can be. It is another again. There is a. I mean, the ODI cricket has a part of it is true. Where the second power play they can call when they want to, which ODI cricket does now. That you can
Right.
decide to take your second power play. But yeah, you can definitely. It has some merit because you'll change the dynamics of the game. Right now, the dynamics of the game are very much in favor of batters going very hard up front and nothing else to do after that.
Yeah. Just going forward into the maybe the future of IPL, do you think at any point, maybe 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line, do you see the game evolving into a much um, larger game, in the sense that, do you think that at some point we may have an IPL Division Two, and maybe a draft system coming into play?
So I think already it's going to happen. So look, if you look at it this way, cricket is an anomaly, absolute anomaly. Most other sports you play for your club and one club, not five clubs, but one club for 8 months a year, and you play for the national team 2 months a year, and you're off 2 months a year. That's how the seasons work. In cricket, it's just other way around. You're playing for a league 2 months a year, and the 10 months a year you're playing for your country. Now, already a lot of talk is happening about what we call meaningless bilaterals, and bilaterals that don't make sense. And there are a lot of people because even price wise, if you look at the market and economics dictates so much of it, they're not really interested. So what people are saying is let's have one big event like a World Cup every year. Let's have all the leagues do every year and keep only the really big things. Now, unfortunately, it is also very in some sense classes because you say that okay, I want the Ashes, I want India, Australia, but I want Border Gavaskar, but I don't want India, Bangladesh. So there are lots of issues, and a lot of those boards make their money just on these. Like practically every board in the world, other than Australia, is helped by it. England is helped by it, but literally the rest of the boards survive on the India contracts. It's literally the boards would
Correct.
make money without India contracts. India going to a country ensures that the books balance because the contract from India is what basically makes the television contract from India is what basically makes it worth its while. That's how much of a stranglehold we have over the world economy, a cricket economy. So what's going to happen in the next 4 5 years is yes, you will see a lot of that being more flex. People will say, why 1 month? Why we are already playing 2 months? Why not 3 months? Why are we playing in the middle of the heat? Well, why not? Already we are talking about the September, October.
September, October, yeah.
So yeah, so all that is going to come into play. And given India's stranglehold over the economy of world cricket, I think you can expect to see a three to 4 month IPL in the not so close distant future.
And what about, do you think at some point we'll move away from the auction to a draft system, or do you think that the
I'll tell you
magic
one
of
thing.
IPL is auction?
I feel what the one thing that the auction has done, which is done very successfully, is make sure that the wealth is not concentrated in a few hands. Because had the auction not been there at the start of the IPL, the Rajasthan Royals would have never won a tournament. Kolkata Knight
Right.
Riders would have never won a tournament. The richest teams would have won. And the fact of it is, it happens in football as well. If you pour enough in, it's not that you'll necessarily win, but without the money, you're not going to win. I'm not saying with money you win, but without the money, you're not going to win. Leicester happens once in a thousand years. You're not going to have Leicester winning a Premier League, you know, in more than once in a thousand years. So, what I'm trying to say is that the IPL balance of the IPL teams is maintained because there is a system. Uh, if today you allowed, theoretically the Mumbai Indians or today the Lakshmi Mittal, whatever, the Gujarat the Rajasthan team, Lakshmi Mittal, to buy all the players they want to, you would
Yeah.
have a situation where they'd stockpile players. And can I tell you, this has actually happened in Indian football. Mohan Bagan, Bangalore, they've had really good Indian players, strikers, young strikers who were right out of academy, who they picked up, and they haven't played because you do not play in the ISL. You never played Indian strikers. You played international strikers mostly. And a lot of this happens because of that, because players are being stockpiled. So there are guys sitting on benches who shouldn't have been sitting on benches. So look, I'm not, people don't sit on benches in the IPL, and it happens all the time. But an auction makes sure that no one guy controls the entire pie. And I think one or two guys controlling the pie is bad for the game. We don't want it. We don't want this to become a Barcelona, Real, perhaps Atletico kind of situation. Because if you look at it, this league is as good looking a league as the English Premier League. But these are the two teams which have any support, and maybe Atletico contends once in a while. So that's, those are serious issues. Those are systemic issues which, if you don't have today, at least over the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years, almost everyone's won an IPL. I mean, who hasn't? Delhi has not won. Punjab
Yeah.
has not.
Delhi's. Yeah.
Delhi and Punjab haven't won. Everybody else has.
Delhi and Punjab have. Yeah. Everybody else has, correct.
Yeah, I mean, Lucknow
Those
is recent, so I can't
No,
say
yeah, still
more.
fairly new. Uh, just I want to cover two more themes, and I know you're short on time. Uh, One of the conversation that I wanted to do is around how do you build great IPL teams, right? And you've been so closely associated yourself with KKR for 6 years. I remember in the mid-season, while in one of the shows that you, Gaurav and Harsha were doing, Harsha pointed out that look at the bottom three of the table. That's Mumbai, Chennai, and KKR. Between the three of them, you have 13 trophies. And you can have a season or two which is bad, and it's absolutely understandable. But they are the three most successful teams in terms of trophies, in terms of fan base. This is just incredible. Wh- what makes a team great? What's the culture? And the cultures may be different, right? Like KKR, I know for the longest time they used to only pick 17 to 18 players in the squad. You had Chennai, who would be fairly consistent with the players who would play in the 11. You had Mumbai this season; they have played 24 of the 25 players. So the cultures can be different. But what, according to you, really makes a great IPL team?
So there are two things. I think the culture by itself is a very big thing, and I always give a great example of this when KKR came, and we've had Chris Gale in KKR, and we haven't won championships. And in 2011, Jacques Kallis joined us, and Jacques is perhaps not one of the greatest T20 players. T20 is not his game, but he's a very good T20 player, but he's a Test legend. He'd probably, an all-time Test team, he would be one of those 11 chosen over 140 years of Test cricket. That's Jacques Kallis. But Jacques Kallis was, I remember fielding in Kolkata. We were playing a very meaningless mid-table match at the Kotla in Delhi, and Jacques was fielding, and he had batted. He hadn't got too many runs. He had bowled 2 overs for about 20, 18 odd runs. Wasn't bowling. He was fielding at deep third man, and therefore switching to long on when the field changed. And Kotla is rock hard. It was an afternoon game, and Jacques for a ball dived, and he scraped himself entirely. And Andrew Lepus, who was our physio, jumped up to go and help him, and Jacques waved him off. And he was wearing full sleeves. So twice or thrice it happened. No, he was wearing half sleeves. Twice or thrice it happened, and every time Andrew got up to go, Jacques would just say, "It's okay." And when Jacques walked out, we won that game by about 7, 8 runs, thanks to Jacques. If you look at the commentary, at least two, three certain fours he'd saved diving. And he
Wow.
walked in, and both sides were just totally, there was no skin. Everything had been pulled out. So he was like literally dripping from both sides. And the truth of it is, all the young players sitting in that team, okay, uh, they did not, they just understood that this is one of the greatest players ever to play the game. They all knew how to play the shot. And this is what he's prepared to put in for a match which can be. considered to be not as important or meaningful, mid-table, middle of the season, nothing much at stake, and that's culture. So what what you have to do is there are certain types of players who set culture for you, and once you get those players, you've got to work with that culture. So when we had say Gautam Gambhir at KKR, Gautam is not easily the most, you have Captain Cool like Mahendra Dhoni. He's a different character altogether. Okay. He exudes coolness. He exudes, I have it all under control. That's not Gautam. Gautam is very intense, very temperamental, very intense, very with it. Now, if you try and make a cool team, if you try and make a Dhoni kind of team around a Gautam, it will work because Gautam does not come from that culture. That's not Gautam's strength. What's Gautam's? Gautam's strength is he sincerely believes that everybody is important. Even the guy who scores 10 in 4 balls, he's the guy who gets us across the line. So he very famously in 2012, we were playing a match in Chennai. The first time we beat Chennai in Chennai. And Devabrata Das, Kellis and Gautam had got most of the runs. And then they fell short, and Das came and hit 11 of 4 balls. And during the man of the match ceremony, Gautam was called and he said, no, I want to give Devabrata because he's the guy who's finished. So now Gautam's culture is I will take a bullet for the team. That's his culture. So his culture is so the whole team culture became this is a team where everybody can take a bullet for the others. So your culture of your team is if somebody is going to get one of us, we're going to stand in front and stop them doing it. And that is when KKR was at its strongest. A team who said that okay, this is us, it's us versus the world, and that was the culture that took them to two championships in 3 years. The culture of saying we we just we are here to fight for each other and fight and spill blood out there. That's how we're going to play our game. So that was a culture. The thing was that that culture was also very strongly dependent on the way Gautam led the team and the way the team was organized around getting the same kind of players that did it. 14, a lot of us left, and 15, very importantly, Trevor Bayliss left. And then that cultural balance of, okay, is these are the kind of players we'll select who fit into this kind of team, that sometimes gets diluted. So I think that's the biggest problem that you have to have a culture and then you have to build that culture consistently. Unfortunately, what has happened with almost every team is even Chennai had a culture, but Chennai's culture was very dependent on Dhoni's personal charisma, the way he drove the team. And now you take Dhoni away from it because while it's easy to say that he's still there with them, he's not. He's not there on the field. He's not being able to influence results directly on the field. The whole dynamic of the team has changed. And now they
I
have to
agree.
take choice to say that do we need to transition. They still have some very good things to going for it. So Chennai, for example, is a very player first team. It's a very player first team, as in they back their players no matter what. Okay, and I it's a huge culture that they will never ever drop down the players. They are very kind to players. They will look after players, and they really do it. So there are teams. So they have some great things going for them. They need to now sit and formalize and say this is what we are, and this is not dependent on any specific player or any specific coach or any specific owner. Once you do that culture which is separate from all those three, then you really, really get championship teams over a long run. Not that they'll always win, but they'll always come and they'll always come with a particular brand of sport. So great examples are, say, the Los Angeles Lakers. I mean, for the longest time, they have been driven by a culture of success, driven by a particular way of playing and a particular way of putting themselves out there in the field. And the New York Yankees is another great example. Uh, some lose it. I mean, United lost it after Ferguson. Uh, City has it now, and how long City will have it, it'll be interesting to see whether his culture was what the culture that defined the team. But that is this thing that you get culture. So there's one is culture. The other is with culture you need two three other things. There's luck. I mean, luck is a huge factor. Injuries are such a serious thing. So what whenever I used to ask Trevor Bayliss, what do you want most? What does the coach need most of all? He used to laugh at me. A man who's won World Cups, won everything, he used to say, first thing a coach needs to be is lucky. And he's right. If your two top players Sunday get injured 2 months before a tournament, it's over. So he says luck is such a large part of it. And
Yeah, I
then,
mean, you saw that with KKR today, this year, this season.
yeah, Mustafuz goes out for one reason, Harshit Rana goes out for another reason, Pati Rana comes unfit, cannot report. Three of your top bowlers gone immediately. The way you look at your side has changed.
Yeah,
So those are the kind of factors that. So culture is one, luck is the other, and then you need pixie dust. There's sometimes things that come that make the team come together, and when they come together, you know it, and it's almost impossible to predict. I mean, it's like a film also. Like there are very well made films which just don't have that magic, and there are films that just have it, and it's such a intangible that it's so difficult to predict. And you know when you have it, you know when that mood of your team has changed. But if you don't, you don't, and you can struggle without it.
it's a pixie dust. What I feel is when I see the three of you on Crickbuzz as well. It's exactly that. I get it. Just finally, Joy. I don't want to talk about IPL, but maybe a little insight on what you think is the future of ODI. Nothing makes me happier as a cricket fan to wake up at 5 in the morning with a cup of coffee, watching a Boxing Day Test match, seeing Bumrah steaming in, bowling to the best batsman of Australia. Now that's a format which is just pure. I love it. T20, I love it. I think clearly there is an existential crisis for the ODIs. Do you think that 2027 should be the last and we should call it an end to 50-50? Because the only thing that I can think of is maybe what Sachin says, right? That you divide the innings into two and make it 25 overs each or 20 overs each. That's the only innovation that I can think of, but otherwise it just feels quite dead.
Look, I tend to agree. The middle is dead. T20 is a short format. Test is the long format. The middle is neither here nor there. It's satisfied nobody. Also, remember that the game of T20 took cricket to the world because finally they had a 2.5 hour sport. Otherwise, nobody can understand sport played over 5 days or understand sport played over 8 9 hours. So
Right.
I think, as I said, T20 cricket's future is very sacrosanct.
Very
Nor
true.
nor does it need to be. I mean, the format was invented in 71. It lasted its good 50 years. It's done 50, 70 years of service, 60 years of service. I don't think it requires to stay beyond that limit. I think T20 cricket has satisfactorily filled that gap. And I think it's a far more exportable format. I mean, every team plays, all the 110 ICC member nations play T20 cricket. So there's a future there. And that clearly is the future of the sport. I mean, I would like to say, let the T20 records, let Wasim Akram, let the Wasim Akrams of the world, let the Sachin Tendulkars of the world, let them have their records forever, because I don't think the format is worth going anywhere with now.
Yeah. Finally, thank you so much. I just wanted to do a quick rapid fire, very short questions, and then I think we'll call it an end. If it's okay with you, I'll
Yeah,
I'll
go.
I'll start. Okay, first, one player who changed T20 cricket forever.
Chris Gale, I'd say, really changed it.
Chris. Yeah, a cricketer who was far bigger in the dressing room than the public ever realized.
Many, but I'd say Jacques Callis for one, because I've seen him like that. But there are many. There are people like even unknown heroes like Rajat
Mm.
Bhatia, who's really really good in the dressing room. You don't see outside.
Right. Yeah. One player every franchise wishes they had discovered first, and it can't be Vaibhav Suryavanshi.
I would say Bumrah. Absolutely. I
Yeah.
mean, Bumrah is for
Hmm.
me still unbelievable. He's sort of platinum for me.
One thing about MS Dhoni people still don't fully understand.
So when is he going to retire is a good one. But no, I'll say how he how he actually runs a team. How he actually manages the team is a lesson in management, which is most people don't totally.
Hmm. Just okay, I'm going to try and frame this question better, but a player who looked decently okay in the nets, but became a monster in matches.
There are many like that. I mean, I've seen Bisla is one example. I mean, he's not a great net player, but that 89
Yeah,
changed 2012.
fantastic. The smartest cricket brain you've ever worked with.
Actually, white ball cricket, Gautam is a white ball genius. He understands white ball cricket like few
I
others.
would agree. Yeah, I don't think I would agree completely.
They don't rate him, they don't because he's temperamental, hot tempered, and all, but he is a white ball certified genius.
Completely, I completely agree. Which player would make the best startup founder?
So, at the moment, the man who's already doing it is Virat Kohli.
Huh, that's true. Who would survive best in a big boss house?
That is, am trying to think of somebody who's as politically correct as that. Yeah, look, I would say Sunil Narine. You wouldn't get a peep out of him.
Ah, that's true. Very, very smart. Yeah, that's a very good answer. And finally, one dressing room conversation you wish cameras had captured.
Oh, lots of them. I mean, I have seen Wasim Akram used to be in the KKR dressing room, and I've seen him working with the likes of Shami, and uh, just the way Wasim talks to bowlers with Shami, with Jaydev Unadkat, with so just watching him with his arm around a bowler explaining the basics is just unimaginable, just unbelievable.
Amazing. So thank you so much. Thank you so much, Joy. It's been an absolute, genuinely, it's been an honor and a privilege. It's a dream interview that I've done. Thank you so much for taking time out.
My pleasure.
And
Thank you so much for taking it.